enough sand to build a 27-meter high and 27-meter wide wall around the equator. That's how much we consume every year. Sand is the second most extracted resource on Earth after water, and hardly anyone is talking about it. This is the story of an invisible crisis, how the foundation of our modern world is being stolen from under our feet, and what happens when it's gone. A crisis hidden in plain sight, on riverbeds and coastlines. We'll expose the invisible resource, the concrete hunger, the ecosystems on the edge, the sand mafia, and the urgent search for a way out. Look around you. The concrete walls, the window glass, the very screen you're watching this on. They all share a single, invisible ingredient. Sand. It feels infinite, crunching underfoot on every beach, stretching across every desert. But that abundance is a mirage. We consume 50 billion tons of sand and gravel every year, enough to build a wall 27 meters high and 27 meters wide around the entire equator. It is the second most extracted material on Earth, after water, and we are mining it faster than the planet's rivers and glaciers can remake it. The twist? Not all sand is created equal. The sharp, angular grains locked in riverbeds, perfect for binding concrete, are the ones we're running out of. Desert sand, worn smooth by wind, is useless for our needs. So the question hangs in the air, heavy as a sack of wet cement. Why is this crisis exploding now, and how did we ignore the ground disappearing beneath our feet for so long? The answer begins with a hunger, a concrete hunger. Today, 4 billion people live in cities. By 2050, that number will swell to 68% of humanity. All those homes, offices, and roads demand concrete, and concrete demands sand. China's appetite alone is staggering. Between 2011 and 2013, it consumed more sand than the United States used in the entire 20th century. Last year, its construction sites used enough to blanket all of New York State an inch deep. But not just any sand will do. River sand is the gold standard. Its angular grains, carved by water, locked together like puzzle pieces, giving concrete its strength. Desert sand, shaped by wind, is too round and smooth, it won't bind. So we mine the rivers, dredging and digging, tearing at riverbeds and banks. The construction boom is devouring the world's waterways, and hardly anyone is counting the true cost. But the rivers are beginning to tell their own story. A story of collapsing banks and vanishing species, one we'll trace next. When we tear sand from riverbeds faster than it can be replenished, entire ecosystems unravel. Bridges collapse as their foundations wash away. Aquifers turn saline, poisoning farmland. And the web of life that depends on stable riverbanks simply disappears. In deltas, the damage is even more profound. The Mekong and Yangtze rivers no longer carry enough sediment to hold back the sea. These deltas are sinking, not just incrementally, but catastrophically, losing the natural flood protection that once shielded millions. As Mark Goichat of WWF warns, keeping sand in the rivers is the best adaptation to climate change. Without that sediment, deltas drown. Coastlines retreat. Communities face storm surges with nothing left to buffer the blow. And when the rivers die, something else rises in their place. A new kind of predator moves in. In India, the hunger for sand has spawned a criminal underworld, the Sand Mafia. These are not petty thieves. They operate with impunity, backed by political muscle, armed militias, and vast illicit wealth. Over the past few years, hundreds have been murdered over sand. Journalists who dared investigate, activists who protested, rival gangs battling for territory. A government official in Bihar put it bluntly, they have power, money, weapons. They can eliminate anyone. It's a very big cartel. Corruption runs deep. Police look the other way. Politicians take a cut. And this violence isn't confined to India. From Mexico to Ghana, Indonesia to Morocco, the same bloody trade flourishes wherever rivers and coastlines are stripped bare. But as the body count rises, a movement is building to break the addiction, to find alternatives, enforce laws, and dismantle these networks. That's next. We don't have to surrender our rivers. Recycled concrete aggregate, when meticulously processed, can replace up to 100% of river sand in durable structural concrete. The technology exists, it just needs to scale. Meanwhile, a new competitor emerged from the shale fields, fracking. By 2014, a staggering 72% of U.S. industrial sand was being pumped into oil and gas wells, not mixed into concrete, a tectonic shift in demand. The UN Environment Program has laid out 10 recommendations: integrated policy frameworks, mapping sand resources, and embracing a circular economy. It's a blueprint for survival. But perhaps the most radical solution comes from journalist Vince Beiser. If you reduce car ownership by 10%, that's 10% of homes without a need for garages and driveways. The path forward demands we see sand for what it truly is, a strategic resource, not an infinite commodity. Our cities, our rivers, our lives depend on it. The addiction can be broken. We've paved the world with the bones of the earth, and we're digging faster than the rivers can run. The foundation of our cities is washing out to sea. If you want to see more stories about the hidden costs of construction, subscribe and dig deeper with us.